There was once a video game console that was based on arcade hardware. Adam, do you remember the name of that system?
Dreamcast!
What are you even doing here?
I have no idea, dude. I just sat down, you adjusted frame
Hot
and
take.
everything.
There's been a bunch of rumors recently that Sega is going to be bringing a bunch of arcade classic games based on the Naomi hardware to the Switch. Now, if you don't know about the Naomi hardware, we brought somebody along that knows quite a bit about it, folks. Adam Koralik.
Yay!
Now, Adam is one of the longest running channels on YouTube that deals with Sega-related stuff, and he's very knowledgeable
Dude,
in
I'm
Sega.
a dinosaur.
Yeah, and I love the sweater.
Yeah, the Sega gave it to me.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
Mr. Sega himself.
This is like the
I'm
best
Sega's
person.
bae. Google it. I come up.
So,
Yeah.
here's what's going on. The
Okay.
idea is that the Sega Dreamcast, like we mentioned in this intro there, was based off of the Naomi architecture, which is arcade hardware that was used for quite a number of years by Sega. Now, there were some games released on that platform which didn't get released anywhere else. Actually, one of them, we created a Rerez 1 video on.
Yeah.
It's called Tetris Giant.
That's right.
Tetris Giant is created with the Sega SP system board, or the Sega System SP, something like that, which in and of itself is actually based somewhat on the Naomi hardware board, so it's this weird collection of things. But that's a game that never got released anywhere outside of arcades. But there's a bunch of other games that are like that too. Adam...
Which Adam?
This is a
Yeah.
dilemma.
Yeah.
This is a
So-
problem. I do not like competing over my name.
Okay, well, can I...
Because there can be, like, I'm used to being you're my Shane, I'm supposed to be your Adam. That's how it always has been at convention.
You heard it here, folks.
And, like, first
He's
time I
his
met
Shane.
him... No, it always bothers me.
Boys, there's plenty of Shane to go around.
Okay, so there was rumors that popped up in late October that we could possibly be seeing Dreamcast games being brought over to the Switch through emulation, okay?
Yes.
And now, since then, another interview popped up on Game Watch, I believe, a Japanese news website, where some of the folks from M2, from Sega's M2, have said, well, not only is it possible that the Dreamcast games could be coming to the Switch, but also some of these Naomi games as well. So we wanted to have a conversation today about a little bit of the Dreamcast library we could possibly see coming to the Switch. Maybe Naomi games possibly coming as well. So.
Yeah, there are a lot of really good Dreamcast games, folks. I mean,
Yep.
most recently we just saw Shenmue 1 and 2 finally get an HD version that was brought out, and we did a review. We loved it. You know?
Never heard of it.
Yeah. All of us like it. I think Shenmue is a really great game, but there are a number of really cool Dreamcast games that demand another re-release.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to bring up one that means a heck of a lot to me.
Okay.
Power Stone 1 and 2.
Yes.
Now, we had the Power Stone 1 and 2 collection released on PSP. Again, we did a video on that a little while ago, which I consider to be the best version of the game because it includes like everything you need. But you can't really play multiplayer with that one,
Yeah.
and that kind of sucks because that game is all about the multiplayer.
I agree.
Yeah, and that game actually came out on the Naomi board as well. Actually, that came out on Naomi first, and it came out on Dreamcast.
Did the sequel as well?
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of those games that I really feel a lot of people would really enjoy. It's just you don't ever get to hear about it too
Yeah,
much.
that's definitely true. Yeah, a lot of people think Sega made that game, but because it's always included in like Power Stone 3 by
Yeah.
Sega. It's like,
Right.
no, Capcom made it.
Yeah, but it used all the same hardware and everything, and it's
Yep.
just something you never really get to hear about anymore. And look, folks, if you've never played Power Stone, think Smash Brothers, like before Smash Brothers really took the ideas of what it really
Yeah,
became.
the
right?
gameplay is very like that, even though it's characters that are really just exclusive to that game.
Yeah, and it's a crazy one.
Yeah, if we want to talk about Capcom, there's a bunch of great Capcom releases on the Dreamcast.
Oh,
One of my favorite releases, actually I played it more on the PS1 than on the Dreamcast, but there's a sequel to an amazing fighting game, maybe you can attest to this too.
Rival Schools.
Project Justice, which is the sequel to
Rival Schools.
Rival Schools, which is absolutely amazing.
Folks, they just finish each other's sentences.
Sandwiches.
Dude, you're in, speaking of sandwiches and your love for Oreos, you're in an Adam Oreo thing going on.
I am
You're
right
in the
now.
middle, the creamy middle.
the creamy middle.
Shouldn't have
Guys,
worn
come
a white
on.
shirt today. So
We're even both wearing blue, and you're wearing white.
I
I'm
know.
just saying.
It's
I'm
a
just
really
saying.
strange thing.
We're like a living Sega logo.
Yeah.
Anyway, about Project Justice. So, have you played a lot of the game?
Not in a long time, but
Yeah.
I remember it being pretty solid. Pretty much everything Capcom did
Yes.
for the Dreamcast was gold. I mean, that system unfortunately failed, but it was not from Capcom. Like, they supported that thing
Right.
to no end.
Do you have a copy of Cannon Spike?
I have every Dreamcast game ever released.
Well, there you you go.
U.S.,
So-
European, Japanese, independent. I got it.
Cannon Spike was another really great Capcom release. Could you tell us a little bit about
Actually,
what makes that special?
that's another one. Unfortunately, I don't really remember all that well.
Okay, so Cannon Spike has a lot of great Capcom characters from throughout the ages. It has like Arthur. It has characters like Cammy and Charlie from the Street Fighter series as well. And it's set up in such a way that it's kind of like Ikari Warriors, where it's like a run and gun sort of game. It's very, very good, very rare. If that was to come to the Switch, man, I'd scoop that up immediately.
You know, a great idea is just to take a lot of those kind of harder to find Dreamcast games and get those released in a much more easier to play form factor,
Yeah.
right?
Well, the thing is, the ones with what you're talking about with Capcom,
Yes.
this would come down to Capcom, not Sega.
Yeah, that's true.
So all these Switch games, or all these games you want to come to the Switch,
Right.
you're talking about something that has nothing to do with Sega anyway.
Well, we'd have to see, because there have been titles coming to, let's say, classic consoles, for example. We've seen like Konami and Capcom releasing some of those titles onto the SNES Classic, the PS1 Classic, and the NES Classic as well.
No dispute.
Yeah.
Like, that would be some sort of like Dreamcast Mini.
Right.
But if we're talking like individual releases, go hit up Capcom specifically if that's what you're looking for.
I think both, maybe both.
Yeah, a big
both folks would have to
compilation.
be.
That would be cool.
So is there anything that was harder for you to collect that you'd love to see come out?
No, I did it when no one cared. Yeah, I mean, not really, man. Like all the ones I ended up with are they were really easy to get at the time. Now I'm just like, I'm looking at a little list there.
Let's say Shenmue aside,
Yeah,
because
of
we
course,
know you're
of
like a
course.
gigantic Shenmue fan.
Right.
But by the way, that still needs to come out on the Switch.
Yeah.
Like, let's make that nice and clear. Okay, that is a really awesome game. Totally worth it on the Switch.
I'm just saying that first because I'm pretty sure Shenmue might be the answer to the question.
It always is.
It's the only answer to every question. What
knows me.
What other title would you like to see released on the Switch?
I would want to see both Sonic Adventures on there for sure. Both Crazy Taxis. I think Crazy Taxi 2 is still exclusive to the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Again, this is now Capcom territory again, but Marvel vs. Capcom getting both of those back, perhaps on the Switch. Fighting, that'd be great.
You know, Crazy Taxi. Something that's interesting about that. The Dreamcast version, I've always said, is the definitive
It
version.
is. Well,
right?
it was made for,
yeah.
it was made for arcade, but yes, it was made for.
But you get all the imaging in the game hasn't been modified or changed. You get that original soundtrack. If they could work to get that exact version
That's
over,
unfortunately is a problem because even when they did re-release it, they ran into that issue.
I know,
That's right.
I know.
Offspring licensing, plus all like they have ties in with like KFC and
I know.
all those other that's not there.
KFC, Offspring. I know you're watching right now. You've been long time
Come on,
fans
give it
of
up.
Rerez.
Isn't
Just
the
give it up.
Offspring
Just do it.
guitarist or lead singer? Isn't he like doing some sort of PhD somewhere?
Sure,
at
but
this
he's a
point?
subscriber. Look,
Yes.
folks, you got to make sure that you just
Dexter?
let Sega release this thing. I mean, why not? It would be fantastic. Crazy Taxi is a fantastic game, but you need to hear that soundtrack when you're playing, which is why the Dreamcast version is still, in my opinion, the definitive one. All I'm saying is that you sell the game, and that if we have to buy a DLC pack, there's $1 or $2 that just gets purchased for the rights, whatever. Fine, let it be. Yeah.
So
Are we-
that would be
I
a really weird deal. Has that ever happened?
I don't know. It should happen though. Just
Like
for
in the
this game.
history of re-releases, anybody ever like, all right, download the DLC to get all the corporate tie-ins? You're literally paying to get a commercial presented
So,
to you. I like that. It's funny.
I like KFC. I don't know. I'm against DLC, but if I'm going to get KFC, I think it's
KFC
a
a
good...
DLC.
Yeah.
So, okay, rights issues aside,
Yes.
I'm going to do some like fastball title
sure.
names, and you guys say yes or no. Okay.
Okay.
Blue Stinger.
No.
No, well, all right. Wait, we gotta.
Do you want these games coming?
We
to
have to put a framework on this.
Yeah.
Like, do we cap it to 20 or something? Because if you're just gonna say all these, why not? Every single title, whatever.
Well, no. Well, let's just do specific titles.
Okay.
I want to kind of get your hot take, if
Okay,
you will,
all right.
on these
ones that are more important to me.
Okay,
Sure.
So Blue Stinger?
Eh.
No.
I'm not a big
No
fan
Blue
of
Stinger.
it.
Blue Stinger was a little bit like a Resident Evil game from back in the day.
But
in the day.
the console also had 3 Resident Evil games.
Yeah,
With those.
and great games. Also,
Code Veronica, made for it, originally was supposed to be Resident Evil 3. Sony tie-in deal, they had to swap the name with the actual Resident Evil 3.
He's like a walking Wikipedia.
That's why he's here, folks.
That's why Resident Evil 3 feels like a weird spin-off.
Ready to Rumble boxing.
You know, I
it's
can see that.
iconic, but like, whatever.
It's like, you know, I think that there's some callback to that because there's some folks that really like that franchise.
Yeah.
I remember that being like visually really impressive on the
time.
Dreamcast at the time.
Big launch title, very important for Midway.
Yeah.
Zombie Revenge.
That would be cool, but then you go into light gun territory.
Oh,
well, the first one.
Zombie Revenge. Maybe you're thinking House of the Dead. Zombie Revenge was the beat 'em up.
Yeah. It's like.
I thought Zombie Revenge was a light gun game.
I don't know. Was it? No. That one was. Zombie Revenge is like Dynamite Deca.
We have an audience.
We have an audience.
We have an
Google this
audience
for us.
Scott,
I know
search
House
the
of the
game.
Dead. House of the Dead 2 was for sure like.
This is embarrassing, Scott. You're not searching fast enough.
I could swear that Zombie
I'm not
Revenge
giving you the
was a
Wi-Fi
like that
password.
game.
Keep on searching.
Okay, I swear, or maybe it was like a mini game in it.
Beat 'em up.
Beat 'em up. Okay, so there were some random mini.
I'm gonna take that logo.
This is
Just take an A, he's saying, from now.
No, because there was. I swear that one always comes up on light gun games, but it might be because of bonus. Like, what was that game? Destruction Derby that had, or Demolition Derby that had the light gun sequence where you actually shot demolition cars.
I did not know that.
There's a bunch of random ones like that, so it might have had like a light gun mini section. But yeah.
What about? Okay, well we're still checking.
It's a spin-off of House of the Dead.
Okay. That might be where the light gun connection is, right? What do you guys think about House of the Dead 2? You couldn't possibly put it on the Switch, could you?
No, because
What do you
of the
think?
motion controls, you could actually do something.
They did it on the Wii.
Yeah.
House of the Dead 2
Right.
and 3 are on the Wii.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, yeah,
We've actually seen a game on the Switch that was released that utilized motion controls for the touchscreen ability of it. So you could technically do that. I'm not saying it would work great, folks. I'm just saying it'd be an option because I really feel that we're losing a lot of those games from not being able to have light gun support.
What do you guys think about Space Channel 5 Parts 1 and 2? 2 didn't come to North
2 did
America
not-
until the
right.
PS2, right?
So 2 didn't come out on the Dreamcast, but for whatever reason they included it in the Dreamcast collection on Xbox 360.
Oh, okay.
Which was really weird because it never actually came out. At least here, it came out in Japan. I don't need that. I'd rather see something that never really came back, like Choo Choo Rocket.
That was the next title that was going to be on the list. So you played Choo Choo Rocket quite a
Choo
bit?
Choo Rocket is a lot of fun. That's a surprisingly addictive puzzle game.
Well, could you tell us a little bit about it?
From what I remember, it's basically like you're herding around
Yeah.
there's like these aliens and you're herding around like mice.
Yeah,
and you're trying to get them all into a spaceship and then it launches. It's like the dumbest little
Right.
premise, but it's really addictive.
Yeah,
It is.
It's very simplistic graphics, all 2D, right?
Yeah. Or like a 2D with like 3D elements, kind of like a Saturn game, but more polished.
And you know what? Honestly, on the Switch, that would be the right system to have
Dude,
on.
that would kill it. Like people sitting there on buses or whatever playing that. Oh, dude, yeah, amazing.
It's one of those great games where after you finish a match, if you have to go do something, you just pause the game and wait, right? Like that's not something that if you're playing like a first-person shooter on the go, multiplayer, whatever it is, that can be a little bit time taxing because if you're sitting somewhere and then you have to move instantly, that might be a break. But when it's a puzzle games always tend to work really well.
Yeah.
And they're portable.
Now, recently, Sega had done a poll for their Sega Ages collections. They've been releasing titles for the Switch through the Sega Ages moniker. They did a poll asking what games you want to see from the whole span of Sega's sort of history, right? And there was one game that topped the list. It was a Dreamcast title. Starts with a J. We haven't talked about it yet.
Radio.
That's it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that title coming to the Switch, possibly? I think that's a complete win.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I actually have Jet Set Radio on the PC, and I run that at 4K.
Yeah.
Oh, man. The graphics on that game do not age. It is
Yeah,
such a
because
beautiful
it's got the
look.
cool cell shaded look.
Exactly. Cell-shaded games age really, really well.
Yeah, that's a game definitely I could easily see. I think a lot of people really like that, and to get back into that, I think a lot of people out there miss Tony Hawk Pro Skater and those kind of games.
2 on the Dreamcast was so good.
Sure.
Man.
Yeah. I mean,
Again, we'd have licensing
With
issues.
all of these things, you've got licensing issues.
Yeah.
But this conversation...
I know, this is
in
pure fantasy.
it's
I
in
want
the
everyone
dream
out there to
world.
understand this is fantasy.
Let's talk about the Dreamcast 2.
Yeah, why not?
Here's
Power
something.
Stone 7. We're skipping him. Going straight to that.
Here's something I would totally want personally. Now, there was an arcade game called based off of a movie, but actually wasn't based off the movie completely. It's in Japan. It's called the Dynamite Deca Trilogy.
You may be familiar with
But in North America, we called the first game the Die Hard arcade game. Now, that game is amazing.
Yeah.
It's really,
One of
really
the best
good.
games on the Saturn.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dynamite Deca was actually a trilogy. Now, what's funny, most people don't realize, is that the first one was basically called Dynamite Deca, but over here, Die Hard Arcade, we got the second one, which was called Dynamite Deca here.
Dynamite Cop.
Dynamite Cop,
And that game is awesome.
Dude.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Adam and I actually went to a convention.
And we beat it.
Yeah, we were like, let's just play this for 2 seconds. End up beating the entire game. It's so
Good
fun.
game, dude. It's a really good game.
There's a third one. And the third one was only ever released
The
on
elusive
arcades.
game.
Yes, I've never actually seen the game before, and I know that it's out there. So if we could get those 3 games in a package together, unfortunately, just like what Adam said, licensing, right? That's going to be an issue. But if we use the original game and they just rebranded Dynamite Deca, whatever, I think that would work out really well. I think it's a game that I think a lot of people would really enjoy.
Okay, well, I think we hit most of the bigger titles.
No, there's gonna be some,
Skies of Arcadia, but Skies of Arcadia was re-released on the GameCube.
That's not that was like 10 years ago. I mean, people want that game back.
Oh no, but there's the Legends is supposedly
Yeah.
a better release of Skies of Arcadia.
Yes,
Yeah.
but people would definitely want Skies of
Oh
Arcadia
yeah,
back.
yeah. The Dreamcast version or the GameCube version?
I'm assuming they'd want it based on the GameCube one,
Yeah.
because that one had more
Yeah,
updates.
yeah,
But
yeah.
then again,
So are there any other major titles that you'd like to see?
no, you just start getting into weird territory.
Egg! Elemental Gear Gimmick!
I wasn't expecting that one. I
It's
thought
like
you were
a
gonna
Zelda
say,
game.
I thought you were going to
It's
say
in-
Seaman.
It's a Seaman with Leonard Nimoy.
Yep, and
No,
Seaman
no
2.
microphone on the Switch. You just wouldn't have.
We can use the app on the phone.
No. Don't give them ideas. Look, there's a whole bunch of games on the Dreamcast. Toy Commander was one of my personal
That
favorite
was
games.
good.
I don't
And it
know-
has a European exclusive sequel.
Yeah, see,
I
stuff
brought
like
him
that.
it. Toy Racer.
See, that stuff exists,
He doesn't
folks.
remember that I gave it
I
to
do
him.
remember
No,
that,
he
yes.
doesn't.
But see, there's a problem with that stuff because people just don't get to play them that often.
Yeah.
They don't know enough about them because some people don't know enough about the Dreamcast. So
Yeah.
there's a large library there of games to play. Some are aged a little bit worse than others. I think we can all agree that Power Stone is one of those amazing classics that
Yes.
still needs to come
Oh,
out.
absolutely.
But, you know, that's the funny thing about the Dreamcast. I think we've mentioned this
Oh,
before.
many times. I know exactly what you're about to say, but do it.
It died early.
Yep.
And
why?
Because it just, I don't even know anymore.
Well, you can tell us.
This is routine that I've heard this a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's a good routine. It makes sense. It's usually that the system was so good, it's just they ran out of money, and that's why people love it, because it was awesome when it died. It wasn't like a crap console
Yeah.
that just died off.
Yeah.
You typically, at the end of a video game console's lifespan, usually you just see a lot of really bad games get released because they're like, whatever, just shuffle it out. But with this one, they were like, oh wait, we still have games for tomorrow. What's going on? And then
There's just a dude with a lever that just like pulled it back.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much how it stopped.
You know what it's like? You really want to know what it's like? Imagine if a video game console had come out, let's just say the PlayStation, and after Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy VII, Resident Evil 2 came out on the same day, the next day they went done and shut the console
You'd be
down.
like, but that was such a great console.
Yeah, right?
It didn't end with, NCAA College 2006. That's
No.
not how it ended.
That's a funny pull. These are the things, right? The Dreamcast just has this amazing library to it, and there is virtually no bad stuff in there because many of those games were tried and tested in the arcades.
Spirit of Speed, 1937.
Well, okay,
Okay.
there's always going to be.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we got to put that one on there. I need a full HD remaster.
Yeah, actually, I would
That's
like
the
that
highest
too.
priority, because that was the last LJN game.
Yeah,
If-
that,
so
that's
it's gotta be-
historical. All right,
If we want these games coming to the Switch, I guess we have to buy the Sega Ages games that they're releasing. That's one of the ways that they're testing the waters for this. So go out there and buy Sonic again for the umpteenth time.
wow, that doesn't sound like a paid promotional piece at all, folks.
I just want to see.
It really isn't. It really
It
isn't.
really
I said
It
it.
really is
This
not.
Adam
Yeah,
said
not
it.
me.
I just want to see
I had
the
nothing to do with
Dreamcast
that.
games come to the Switch. That's
Yeah, now I have to basically say that something about Sega sucks just to offset this. Have you ever played? I like too many things. I even like the Game Gear. This is hard.
Sega Pico.
What about that Sega thing with the lights?
Pods.
No, I like the pods. I actually like the Pico. There's a lot of really interesting tech on that. It's unfortunately
People
a very
accuse me
good
of shit I
thing.
never did, but really, you're the fanboy.
I guess. All right, folks. Well, what do you think? What games on the Dreamcast or in the Sega Arcade Naomi board are you interested in to see get released at home on the Switch? And if not the Switch, maybe see get released on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. And Adam,
Yeah. I
thank
also
you
want
so much for joining us.
Yeah.
on
Oh
the
yeah, no
show.
problem. You know, it was very nice to be here, and I'm going to be heading back to Chicago now. So
All right.
I'll catch you later.
All right, later.
Bye.
All right, that's.
I was just gonna say I would hope they would throw on some exclusives from Europe and Japan, but bye, bye, other me.